Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here. The Walk, the People's Champion is here right now to show you guys, okay, the all new Voice of Command build. Now, this one is suitable with the plasma gun, alright, currently the most OP gun, the bolt gun, and the revolver, the Stub revolver. Alright, you can use it with any of these weapons and achieve fantastic results. Why is it so good? Voice of Command currently is on a 30-second cooldown, which means that you can use it very frequently in combat. The additional toughness that you can get from it via Duty and Honor lasts for 15 seconds. It's half the duration. Add in the ability to kill specialists and reduce your cooldowns and you become a fountain of toughness. A great support for your team. Every engagement you're going to have it up and you can start protecting your team with it. Now, how do you construct this build? Well, pretty much the same way that I did yesterday's video, aside from the fact that we also have holy music going in the background. Yeah, I got some slightly different ones today. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys the talent tree first, and then I'm going to show you guys the gear. Why? Because there's going to be, there's multiple gear choices for this. It's so flexible, it's so good, you can pretty much have it your way. Okay? So without further ado, camera vanish. Let's go into this and let me show you the talents. Okay, for the first part of the talent tree, you're going to want Close Order Drill, giving you toughness damage reduction the more allies you have in coherency. You want Charismatic, improving your aura radius. You want your Crack Grenades for anti-armor and monstrosities. Alright, this is very useful for that. You want Long Shot, which is just a cheap way of getting extra range damage. Alright, you're going to be sniping a lot with this build, so Long Shot is useful. Grab a health boost, grab a range damage boost, then grab Catch a Breath and Survivalist. Okay, Catch a Breath will allow you to replenish 5% toughness per second when there are no enemies within 8 meters. Some people prefer Get Back in the Fight. I do not, because I don't get caught by bombers and things like that that'll slow you that often. Okay, so for that reason I prefer Catch a Breath. Survivalist will allow you to replenish 1% ammo for you and your allies in coherency whenever anybody kills an elite or specialist enemy. In Auric Damnation, there are a lot of these. You want to have Survivalists to keep replenishing that ammo, keep the team healthy. Even then, there are some people that are so selfish and who are very bad with their shots and ammo consumption that they will still suck up every bit of ammo. So sometimes Survivalist is your only option to survive, literally. Okay? Okay, on to the second part of the talent tree. The second part of the talent tree is fairly simple. You want Reload Boost here, Toughness Damage Reduction. You want to get Demolition Stockpile, allowing you to replenish 1 grenade every 60 seconds. Voice of Command, which will allow you to replenish your toughness, stagger all enemies within 9 meters, okay? This can also push back Pox Bursters, by the way, which is pretty awesome. And it can get hounds off people, things like that. It's pretty universal as long as they're within 9 meters. And the base cooldown is only 30 seconds, so you can spam this pretty often. Duty and Honor then allows your Voice of Command to apply 100 extra toughness for 15 seconds. Guess what? This can save you against a sniper shot, this can save you against a Poxburster's explosion, it can do a lot for you. So Duty and Honor is pretty huge, alright? After that, you want to grab your Stamina Boost, Range Damage Boost, and Reload Speed Boost, okay? This is it for the second part of the talent tree. Now, let's go on to the third and final part of the talent tree, okay? I told you this wasn't going to take long, but also this build doesn't have a lot of variations. So there's not a lot of other options for this, okay? I'll go through something a little bit at the end about why we make certain choices, but for the most part, this talent tree is not complex, okay? So after you grab all those passives, you want to grab your Tactical Awareness, you want to grab Bring It Down, which increases 25% damage versus Ogrins and Monstrosities. Tactical Awareness allows your combat ability to be cooled down by 6 seconds every time you kill a specialist, okay, which there are a lot of running around in Auric Damnation. And Superiority Complex gives you 15% base damage against elite enemies, applying to both your range and melee weapons, and your grenades as well. Same with Bring It Down. So these two in total boost your damage against Ogrins, for example, by about 40%. This is pretty huge, yeah? Now, I'll go through the middle tree first. You want to grab your health boost, toughness boost. Confirmed Kill is a must-have. Then Inspiring Presence, Born Leader, and Rending Strikes, okay? Confirm kill allows you to regenerate toughness whenever killing an elite or specialist enemy, and a further 25% toughness over 10 seconds. This does not stack, nor does it refresh, but instead it generates a separate buff for every kill, which is pretty insane. You kill 3 specialists or elite enemies, and this is just gonna regenerate you 3 times over, like, it's gonna give you 3 times the amount of regeneration. That's how insane it is. Combine that with Born Leader, which allows your allies in Coherency to replenish 15% of any toughness that you replenish, and you become a fountain of regeneration, especially when elites are swarming around your team and you're blasting them with the plasma gun or whatever. Rending Strikes gives 10% rending to all weapons, meaning that every weapon will deal 10% more damage against whatever armor the enemy has. Rending acts as if it's armor penetration. Okay, it works against all armor types. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have it in your build. Now, on the left tree, what you want is an Exhilarating Takedown. Exhilarating Takedown replenishes 15% toughness, and gives you 10% toughness damage reduction, stacking up to 3 times on a range weak spot kill. It's pretty easy to get range weak spot kills with this build, so yeah, use this with your big guns and you will feel like a god. Also, you get 5% toughness damage reduction here, and grab Precision Strikes. This gives you 30% weak spot damage, but it applies, as far as I know, to both melee and ranged weapons. If anyone can prove that it doesn't apply to melee weapons, please let me know. You can contact me on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, or just tell me on YouTube. But basically, it does apply to both melee and ranged weapons, which is really excellent, okay? And that is it for your tree. Now, the only point that you can literally vary is Iron Will. Iron Will gives you 50% reduced toughness damage if you are above 75% toughness. However, sometimes it doesn't always work, even with like Voice of Command's Duty and Honor. So if you find that you're not getting a lot of value out of this, you can use the spare point to get more toughness. You can get critical chance, any number of valuable passives, like literally anything you want, you can grab. You can even grab Kill Zone for an extra 15% damage whenever there's no enemies within 8 meters. Yeah. But personally, I still do like Iron Will, and I find that it helps me a lot in certain situations to survive, and also take a hit without getting my full toughness wiped out. So yeah, it can be pretty useful overall, in my opinion. So that's what I do, and this is my entire build. All right. Now, when it comes to this build, if you guys are confused about it, or if you are confused about the grenade choices, let me do a little bit of explaining. There isn't a lot of variation in this build, and a lot of people ask me, well, if you've got the plasma gun, why would you have a crack grenade? Because crack grenade is anti-armor, plasma gun's anti-armor. Why 2 of the same? Okay, first of all, crack grenades are very useful against monstrosities, which I absolutely love using them against. The other thing is that crack grenades can save you ammo, because a crack grenade is a guaranteed one shot on a crusher, bulwark, whatever. So if I really have to take out a crusher, of course I could charge up a shot and hit the head, but even then, that's gonna cost me 12 ammo. Alright, my grenades replenish every 60 seconds, so why wouldn't I just stick one here? It's dead. Stick one here. It's dead. That's 2 kills that give me back ammo, and I don't have to worry about. Also, if they're grouped up close enough, it can affect multiple targets, which is pretty good. Frag grenades are okay, but I don't find myself needing horde clear, because your melee weapons, such as your chain sword or your power sword, will absolutely cover that. Smoke grenade can be kind of useful as a support skill, but the problem is that smoke grenade doesn't have any great passives that I really want. Exploit weakness is changed to melee critical hits. Apply the 10% brittleness, but it doesn't apply from range attacks. So yeah, this one became a bit useless. Tactical reload, that doesn't help me. Vanguard, not as helpful as some of the other perks here. So realistically for me, it's between frag grenades or crack grenades, and I prefer crack grenades. If you really like frag grenades, you can go for it, but I wouldn't. Just so you know, I wouldn't. Okay? So this is what I've got, and this is what I do. Okay, that's it for the talent tree side. Now let me go over the gear and accessories. Now this section will be longer, alright? And the gameplay demonstration is going to be with the plasma gun. Yes, you can use it with the revolver and the bolt gun, and I'll go through that a little bit as well in the playstyle demonstration. But use the plasma gun. It is one of your best choices right now. You should not be sleeping on it. Okay? All right. Let's go through the gear. Whee! All right. Starting with your melee weapon, my choice is the Munitorium Mark 6 Power Sword. Why? It's got a fantastic attack pattern. Okay. The light swings on this baby are horizontal in nature. Let me just show you. They are horizontal in nature, so you can strike off people's heads pretty easily. And with the right blessings, this becomes a beast. So, what do you do here? Maniac damage is a must-have perk. The other one can be whatever you want. I happen to get very lucky with Carapace armored enemies. For your blessings, you want Paracycler so that you have your 2 extra chained energized hits, and Brutal Momentum, which will allow you to ignore, which will not only increase your weak spot damage, but also allow your weak spot kills to ignore enemy hit mass. This is currently the best horde clear weapon in the game for the veteran in terms of melee choices. The chainsword used to be the best, but this one is now a close competitor. However, it has some negative points that you guys will need to understand. Okay, and I'll go through them in a little bit. But basically, stat-wise, you want to have your damage as high as possible, finesse as high as possible, mobility as high as possible. This is absolutely necessary. Why? Because this sword is very bad with mobility. Okay? Cleave damage and cleave targets are kind of dumb stats, but try to get your cleave targets at least to 60, cleave damage minimum 65. Okay? The rest try to maximize. Now, sorry, one quick yawn there because couldn't resist. You know, this holy music relaxes me a lot. Now, please excuse that yawn and let me explain the positives and negatives about this sword. The positive about this sword is that this sword can deal a lot of damage. All right, you can, in just a couple of light swings, damn near kill a mauler. Although, you know, you may not want to use this against maulers. You can apply the same thing to crushers, all right? And most importantly of all, you can apply the same thing to muties. Okay? So you can basically close to two-shot a mutie, and it's very easy to hit the head, as you can see. You can go for your ragers and absolutely wipe them out. With a few well-placed swings, you can actually stop entire hordes of ragers together with voice of command. So don't hesitate to use this in combat, and know that its damage is absolutely insane. That being said, where are the negative points? Well, although it's effective against pretty much everything in this game, the downside is that it has a dodge distance of -12, which can make dodging certain attacks a lot harder, because your dodge distance, even with 78% mobility, is a lot worse than a lot of other characters. And you have a dodge limit of 4. One less dodge than the chainsword. The chainsword has a dodge limit of 5 and a positive dodge distance, so you will feel like you're dodging further and dodging longer. This is why it's a bit of a choice. You can choose to use the power sword for the insane horde clear, or you can go with the chainsword with a little bit extra dodge distance and 5 dodges. Now, the chainsword, for me personally, I prefer to have the 10% extra melee damage against the Groaners and Poxwalkers, and the other stat can be whatever you want. Bloodletter, at least tier 3 is great, but tier 4 if you can get it. This will give you extra bleed on your special attacks, which is how you can one-shot muties no matter what. Wrath will just help you against hordes by increasing your cleave on hit and stacks up to 5 times, giving you basically 200% cleave. Damage, finesse, and mobility are the key stats on this. You want to have these maxed out. Penetration also needs to be relatively high, but because you will generally use your special attacks against more armored targets, your shredder needs to be above 71. Okay? You must have at least more than 71 shredder, so this is cutting it close. This is cutting it pretty close. But unfortunately, because the chainsword's major weakness is that all the stats are necessary, so min-maxing this is really hard, and more importantly than that, you don't have a dump stat. All right, so you're gonna suffer a lot if you're trying to get a good chainsword. That being said, the chainsword has its own strengths because compared to the power sword, for instance. Oops, sorry, let me just quickly swap over. Apparently it didn't swap because I didn't equip it. The chainsword can definitely kill off hordes, okay? And you'll feel quite mobile using it. You've got your full dodges, no negative distances, but it does struggle a bit compared to the power sword, which is 2 quick swings and then it's all over. Also, you will be able to really devastate certain targets by inflicting this bleed and then just hitting them once or twice and they'll go down and die. You can pretty much one-shot anybody, alright? And muties especially, if you use something like this, even if it's not a direct weak spot hit, will basically get one shot thanks to the bleed damage and the sawing stat. So it's really up to you which sword you want to use. The chainsword is slightly poorer against hordes, but with much better dodging. Okay, and overall it does less damage against armored enemies versus the power sword, but it can guarantee one shots on muties. The power sword requires about 2 swings on a mutie, okay, but it's better for hordes, weaker on mobility and dodging, but it also works phenomenally well against every single armor type in the game. So you won't lose even if you have a power sword, and honestly it's been a really good weapon in several of the games that I've played it. Honestly, I thoroughly enjoy it. So that's it for the melee weapon. Now let's move on to the ranged weapon. The ranged weapon, similarly, you've got multiple choices. The first and best choice, in my opinion, is the plasma gun. Right now, the plasma gun is so strong. It is the weapon of champions. It is the weapon of kings. It can literally go through multiple targets in a single shot. It is beautiful. So you do not ever want to stop using the plasma gun, okay? In terms of your perks, you want maniacs, okay? I often choose maniacs as my first perk. The second perk can be whatever you want. I happen to have flak armored enemies. You know what? It's great. For your blessings, you want Gets Hot at level 4, okay? Giving you up to 50% critical chance, which scales based on heat level. And Shattering Impact, which I find is really good. It gives the target 3 stacks of 5% brittleness on a direct projectile hit. This can be very useful against bosses especially, because you can stack that brittleness on it and really make them suffer. Stat-wise, what you're going to want is damage as high as possible. Charge rate, okay, I have 79% on this. This is the same plasma gun that I use in all my runs. No problems wiping out elites. There are still some rumors that DPS may be affected if your charge rate is not XYZ level. Even if it is a very minimal effect that will never affect anything in your game because of how strong the plasma gun is. So I've been using this in Auric Damnation runs, no problem whatsoever. I'm cleaving through hordes, cleaving through targets. In fact, I'll demonstrate after this. Stopping power as high as possible. Why? Stopping power directly affects your damage versus all enemy armor types other than unarmored, okay, and infested. But all other armor types are affected by stopping power. So your damage and stopping power need to be as high as possible, okay? Ammo needs to be as high as possible if you want to make sure that your plasma gun is strong. And thermal resistance, you will want to have this at least above 65. Unfortunately, I haven't rolled a better plasma gun, so my thermal resistance is 55. I'm kind of just accepting it. I would have liked it if it was at least 60, but oh well, this is kind of all we got. Unfortunately, every stat is important for the plasma gun, so you don't have a dumb stat. But making do with thermal resistance being lowish is okay. Now, why is the plasma gun so good? Well, alright. It's because you can do stuff like this. Okay, press 3 targets in a row, all of them take damage. And that's an uncharged shot. Fully charged shot, let's try and line it all up. All the way to the Reaper in the back, okay? You can go through so many targets with a fully charged shot, just instantly, Kamehame, boom, everything dies, okay? So, with this plasma gun, what enemies can you really take out? Well, assuming you've got all your bonuses and you get a headshot, easy. All right. The Dread Gunner, if you don't get a headshot, it won't die, but you know, that's okay. Thanks to the Maniac armor boost, the Scab and Tox Flamers will both be insta-gib. Even the Rager is not an insta-gib, sorry. But the Rager is close to an insta-gib, alright? So this is where a lot of people may say, oh man, you know, like isn't there a way to increase your damage a little further? Yeah, you can, but at your own risks. You would need kill zone to one-shot these guys. But you can also just charge a little bit and fire. I mean, that should work just fine. Just give them a charge shot instead and they'll be wiped out. So for me, I don't sweat it too much. I just either fire twice, double tap, or give them a charge shot. Okay? And the best part is that you can also shoot through walls, terrain, and all that. I can't really demonstrate this here, but in the field, you will sometimes see me shooting through walls, shooting through some light cover, and enemies will just get evaporated. This is what I love about the plasma gun, and this is why it's so good. It cleaves through multiple targets, you can shoot through your allies, you can just do whatever you want. Plasma gun ignores all the rules, and it is so powerful. Okay? So that's your first gear choice, and usually your best gear choice for this. Second is the absolutely insane Revolver. Okay. For the Revolver, you're going to want two important perks. First, damage to unarmored enemies, which will allow you to one-shot the Dread Gunners. And number two is damage versus Maniacs. This will allow you to one-shot the Tox and Scab Flamers. In terms of your blessings, you must have Surgical, okay, which is extremely crucial. The other one can be whatever you want, but I prefer Hand Cannon, which gives you plus 80% rending on a critical hit, which is really nice, alright? In terms of stats, damage, penetration, reload speed, and critical bonus are all important. Your only dumb stat is mobility, but try to roll as highly on damage as possible. Penetration helps you against all armor types, okay, other than Maniac, by the way. Other than Maniac, Unarmored, and Infested, but it improves damage versus all the rest, so it's really useful. Reload speed helps you reload this gun faster, which is absolutely crucial because it reloads so slow. And critical bonus increases your damage versus all armor types, okay, as well as giving you a melee critical chance, but I'm just happy with the critical damage increase versus all the armor types. That's what really matters. That whole melee critical chance, I'm not sure it applies here, but you know, like I said, I'm kind of confused as well because I don't know if it should apply to the range critical chance, but if it doesn't, that's okay. Still, it just confuses me why a weapon with no real melee would have melee critical chance. Same thing on the Surge Staff though, but Surge Staff actually does have a melee, although it's small and tiny. Now, let's switch over to the Revolver. Oops, sorry, I didn't equip it again. Very intelligent of me, my bad. Let me switch over to the Revolver, and let me show you. Right here, right now. What can the Revolver kill? Well, the Gunners are guaranteed kills. Now, if you wait a while with Surgical, you're going to get additional stacks of crit. But even snapping off a oh, that's a crit too. Even snapping off a quick shot, I can still kill it. I just want to show you guys that. Snapping off a quick shot, I can still kill the Tox Flamer. Oops, didn't hit the head on that one. My bad. There, snapping off a quick shot. And by the way, it has some penetration as well, which is really nice. Now, for the Ragers, in order to one-shot them, you must crit. Okay, if you don't crit, it won't one-shot them. But you can get pretty close. Alright? For the Scab Rager, a crit will wipe it out. Okay. Sorry. Darn it. I'm trying to prove a point here. Yeah, non-crit will only deal about 1,400 damage. So sometimes what you want to do with this, because the stacks build up so quickly, you just want to aim for a little while and shoot. And it's a guaranteed crit. 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Alright, kind of like that. And that should help you get a few more crits. But if you have to run around aiming for a little while as well, don't hesitate. Because you can get a pretty loud crit with that. I don't recommend waiting forever, but it is possible. So yeah, this is why I love the Stub Revolver. It's so good against so many different enemy types. If you wanted me to demonstrate against the Ogrins as well, absolutely possible. Against the Crusher, I prefer to wait a while so I can crit, but yeah, you can take them out too. Okay, so that's the Stub Revolver for you. The last ranged weapon that is suitable for this build is the Lock Mark IIB Spearhead Boltgun. Okay, stat-wise, what you're going to want for this one is the following. Damage to maniacs, damage to unarmored enemies. Unarmored enemies. Is that looking familiar? Because guess what? You're using exactly what the revolver does. Same thing here, surgical. Okay, why is this necessary for the bolt gun? Well, for the bolt gun to be ammo efficient in the first place, what you don't want to do with the bolt gun is this. What you don't want to do is spam, because you're just going to be wasting your ammo and effort. Now, the bolt gun also has a prep time. If you change around and bring out the bolt gun, you have to sort of slap it first again, okay? But if you use it together with surgical, you can pretty much annihilate most enemies with a shot to the head. Bolt gun is pretty good, but it's a little bit lacking in penetration. So I find that it's harder to shoot through enemies compared to the Stub Revolver. Okay, even with a crit, you still can't take out Ragers, all that kind of stuff. So, realistically speaking, the bolt gun is like a revolver with a magazine and rapid fire. If you really want to use something that's similar to the bolt gun, I would rather you use the Stub Revolver instead. But the bolt gun can also be used for situations where I just need to spam fire, you know, so let me kill a few things quickly. It's really down to your own choice, but I do not recommend the bolt gun. I highly recommend instead the plasma gun and the revolver for this, okay? So these are the best choices for your ranged weapons. Now, for your Curios, what I'm currently using on this veteran is fairly standard. I'm using 20% max health, toughness, and toughness. So I've got 2 toughness Curios and 1 max health Curio. For the perks, it's toughness regeneration speed on all of these, and combat ability regeneration, as well as damage resistance gunners. I have found that this is the best combination across the board. So all of them, I have damage resistance gunners and toughness regeneration speed as my 2 primary perks. But if I have a good enough gunner resistance, I'll go for the 4% combat ability regeneration. Right now in this build, I have a total of 11% combat ability regeneration, which brings this from 30 seconds down to 27 seconds. It might not seem like much, but it really allows it to be online whenever I need it, which is so good. Okay, that is it for your gear and curio choices. Now, what I'm gonna say in terms of closing statements before I demonstrate a little bit of the playstyle to you guys. Well, actually I already did demonstrate the playstyle for each of the ranged weapons, but for this build, if you want to find the combat demonstration will be on my sub channel. But take note that this time around, the combat demonstration releases a bit late or close to when this video releases. Okay, so if you do not see it when you are watching this video, especially if you are a channel member, because now YouTube allows channel members to watch my videos early, don't fret, it will be there. It will be there, but don't panic, okay? Don't panic. It will be there, but it might be a little bit late, okay? All right. Now, just a quick word on the playstyle of this build. I'm going to demonstrate with the... Now, you will see all of this in the combat demonstration as well. Don't forget to click the card if you hadn't already when it showed up. All right. Otherwise, you can rewind a little bit and the card should pop up again. Or go to the link in the description of the video. But basically, with the plasma gun, what you want to do is that you want to be able to make sure that at whatever distance you are, you aim for the head in general. It will usually allow for a weak spot hit even at a long distance. You see? The best part is that because this shoots through targets and you don't have to worry about, you know, all that stuff, you can literally just shoot through targets anytime, anywhere. Okay, you'll be able to wipe them out at a distance. So as soon as somebody marks a target, what I would do is I'd just start blasting. I would literally just sit here. I'll try and line up as many targets as I can, and I just go start blasting like that. All right? So get used to killing multiple targets with a single shot, because this is what this build is all about. The Stub Revolver doesn't really do that, but the Stub Revolver does have penetration as well. So for a human-sized target, you might actually get a double headshot, which is totally possible. If the horde comes up against you, right, snap some shots off against distant elites, like so I might snap kill one, swap to my power sword, and immediately start swinging. Alright, this voice of command veteran, and of course I'll use my voice of command to buff myself in between, clear some space, you know, all that kind of stuff. This is the ideal playstyle. I know it's not very complex, but I still wanted to demonstrate it a little bit, because one thing which I see a lot of players fail to do is realize that their plasma gun can penetrate multiple targets now. So they like will try and aim and get a good shot, or they will charge up unnecessarily. Like, you can charge up if you want, but take note the charge takes up 9 ammo, whereas a single shot is just 3, and it still has pretty good penetration. So you can do 2 single shots for about 6 and wipe out most targets, as opposed to 9. 9 would be a full charge like so, and boom, that's gonna cost you 9. So yeah, just be a bit careful with that, and saving ammo is very crucial with the plasma gun. But other than that, have fun, because you're gonna go absolutely wild. All right, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this. I know it was a bit longer, but like I said, I wanted to give you guys the options, and this build is just so strong because it works with so many things. Like, although these 3 weapons that I mentioned are the best choices, you know, you can actually use whatever weapon you want with this, and it probably won't fail too badly because it's just so strong. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you like my content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell and set the bell to all. Because if you do that, you will always be alerted whenever I'm live. More importantly than that, here are the top supporters for October. All right, and of course the channel members. And if you guys want a shout out in every video, all you have to do is show a little love for the Robot Nation. As long as you're in one of these lists, you're in with us. Okay? Let's start with our top tipper. River Archer 124 is our top tipper. Our top tipper list includes Bravo 7910 and Vazgen. Our top super chatter is Jason Kun. Top super chatter list includes Oracle Blade, Death Dawning 982, Dookie, Strix, HD Pork, Necron Sage, John Taylor, and Nightshade. Top channel membership gifter is Nightshade. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's take a look now at the channel members who make all of this shenanigans possible. For our lovely, amazing channel members, we are starting right at the top with Big Chungus at the only fan level. We've got Death Dawning 982 at Plus Ultra. We've got Yuri, Jason Kun, Jerry Fast, Rogue Assassin, Zach MG at Prestige. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to our honored robots as well. Day, Atomica, Emix, Jord Rakost, Cordova, Yabs, Nightshade, Devin Lashin, Mookie Mocha, Rena, Chase Taylor, Nathan Strong, Lady Neo, Joey Danze, Sayed Assad, Coda CMF, Kami SMH, Conrad C, and Benjamin Savage. You guys are amazing. Thank you all so much for this. You guys are the best. There is no one better. You know, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you to everyone who contributes. Thank you to everyone who sends the super thanks, super chats, all that kind of stuff, becomes a channel member. All of it just helps us make more content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep loving my stuff, all right? The Walk will return on the next one. So what you gonna do when the bot runs wild on you, brother?